The legislation before lawmakers right now is called Our Children Minnesota. It is supported by Family Service Rochester's outreach called the Father Project. Sidney Frye supervises this program that is all about helping dads get back into an active role with their kids after being incarcerated. Sidney, how old is this project locally? And then we'll get into kind of the legislation and what we're hoping lawmakers will do. But let's talk about the program and when it got started.
We've been in the Rochester community on and off for the better part of 9 years, almost going on 10 years now. So we've been really up and running in this current iteration of the program for the last 3 years, really serving dads throughout southeastern Minnesota. So,
tell me exactly what it is that your group does for men who are coming out of jail or prison.
Yeah, so Father Project, we serve a number of different fathers that are really intent on connecting again and becoming more invested and involved in the lives of their kids. So many of them are returning citizens. Some are also in the process of recovery from chemical dependency, or others are just, have been separated from their children for durations of time. And so they're all in that process of trying to reconnect. And so what we do is come alongside to provide kind of a two-pronged approach. We provide case management services, so that means connecting them with community resources that they might need related to housing, but we also work with them as it relates to employment, so employment services, career development, not just them obtaining jobs, but also looking at a career path so that they can have sustainable income as they're reintegrating into the lives of their kids, to be able to provide not just emotional support, but also economic support to their families and to their children in particular.
There are other programs, and I know because I've been heavily involved with Next Chapter Ministries and other organizations on the local level that help with this as well. Do you all collaborate together? I know you know the people who are with these other organizations, but how much collaboration goes on?
Well, I definitely think it takes, it's a community effort, really working together, and we definitely work with community partners, both at the public sector with Olmsted County Health, Housing, and Human Services, and in the private sector as well, with many nonprofits that are doing great work, helping dads, helping individuals that are reentering into the community. And so we see them as partners in that work that we're doing. And many times we do have, overlapping clientele that we can work together to support. I think that's part of our effort, is connecting dads to those resources that we are aware of in the community.
Yeah, and with that said, Sidney, how big of a need is there? How many men are we talking about that need your services?
Well, there really is not a lot of services that are directly geared toward men as it relates to their role as a father. And so I think we're unique in that sense. And we see that the need is pretty extensive. Typically, within a calendar year, we're serving anywhere between 60 and 70 men. But I think the need is even greater than that. But that's just our current capacity.
Sure.
There's countless others that probably could benefit from the services that we provide, not only here within Olmsted County, but in other outlining counties as well throughout southeast Minnesota. So,
what will this legislation do? It's called Our Children Minnesota, but what is it that you're looking for from lawmakers with this?
Really looking to encourage the state legislator to fund fatherhood programs and to really to value the importance of fathers being involved in the lives of their kids, because we know that the outcome typically is better when kids have, both parents involved and invested in their development and growth. So.
Okay, Sidney, I need to take a break, and we've been talking about the logistics of this and the history, the legislation, but we haven't talked enough about the personal side of it. So if you can hang with me for just 2 minutes, let's come back and talk about the personal benefits that you have seen come out of all of this, okay? I'm continuing my conversation now with Sidney Frye, who oversees Family Service Rochester's outreach program. It's called the Father Project. And as we talked before the break, Sidney, about the legislation, the history behind the Father Project, I want to know that personal side. You get involved with these men, you talk to them, you know their stories. Tell me that part of it.
Well, yeah, we've been privileged and really blessed to walk alongside of some men in their journey toward becoming involved. And I can personally attest to the fact that many of our program participants feel like, they've burned bridges where, it's irreparable that they're not able to get back and involved in their kids' lives. And just to see men that have come into the program really in that kind of hopeless state, really feeling broken about their situation, and really take that earnest effort and make those the next right choice. We often say the next right decision, and really walk along that process that might come with obstacles and barriers, but then to see them on the other side, like I can think of a number of individuals who are now, they have either custody of their children or they're living with their children, and now they're being able to be that dad that they really always wanted to be. Many of them maybe didn't have that father figure in their own life, and they were really determined to change that narrative for their children.
And I don't have any of the statistics on hand, but we do know, and I know that it's safe to say, that when a father is in the life of their child, these children do a whole lot better as long as these fathers are healthy and on a road to getting better from past mistakes. Speak to that part of this.
Yeah, I mean, we're not just haphazardly talking about father involvement for father involvement's sake. I think it really does, within that context of being healthy. There's, if you look at different, social determinants of health as it relates to education, as it relates to, just future career earnings, home ownership, all of these things, as we look at, kids do better. And it's hard to see sometimes when you're looking at that long-term outlook and those long-term outcomes. But we also know that even, kids in elementary school do better with their grades. Kids that are adolescents avoid risky behavior when dads are involved and invested. And so we get to see that play out, and we see the difference that it makes when dads are a part of the picture.
You brought up social determinants, and I know that that encompasses a lot of different aspects. I don't want to make this a racial piece of the discussion, but there is an element of African American men and white men who are in your program. I know that there are different barriers when it comes to race and coming out of jail.
Yeah, I think we do see, those disparities as it relates to kind of our justice system, and we often see a disproportionate number of, men of color that are involved in some of those deeper end systems that tend to be more restrictive and intrusive. And so whether it's, being involved in the justice system or the families involved in our child welfare system, the path is oftentimes very difficult. But I think one thing that we do see as a common thread is that men want to be involved. I haven't met a dad who said, I don't want to, that kind of notion of deadbeat dads. Mm-hmm. There probably are some that opt not to, but the vast majority do really want to. They just have to work through these obstacles. And so when they get the supports, we see that's the difference, that they can actually get through some of those obstacles so that they can overcome, whether it's, racial equity issues or just obstacles in general.
Sidney Frye, I do like speaking with you, especially about something that is so positive. It is under the umbrella of Family Service Rochester, the Father Project. I will put a link to it with this interview, Sidney, on our website tonight. And I know that Family Service Rochester does so much good for so many people, and they need help as well. So thank you for your time.